We're going to talk about a twisted blanket, or a blanket of twisting. And it's called offense. When you have a twisted blanket on you, it's from you have taken offense before it can land on you. That means you've set that into your heart to be offended. Now, the first thing we need to understand about offense is that it serves and works with bitterness. Number 2 is resentment. Number 3 is unforgiveness, the spirit of unforgiveness. And 4, the demon of control. And when these demons are in play, they will always bring in betrayal. And that will require the foot washing and communion service to break off, or what's known as the Passover service. The second thing that you need to know and understand is that false hope and or we could say missed opportunities and or missed or bad perception of things and cuddling up to the demon of resentment. All these demons are the lead attractors for the blanket of offense to form over a person. You see, unless there's something there, it can't grab hold of you. And often one of the key reasons why this twisted blanket forms is then we speak against the elders of the congregation, or we speak against anointed officials, government officials, and we can receive this blanket of twisting. And it can twist the life right out of you. You end up with no energy. They create an attitude for offense to form around. So, if you put hope in something that's false, and it doesn't work out, you can start blaming people. Well, you told me I was supposed to move there, or you told me I was supposed to do this, or you said I was going to receive this car from somebody. And that may not have been what was said. But it's the very thing that allows for this twisted blanket to form. The more that the offense attitude is accepted, the stronger it becomes until it strangles out love, life, and light from that person. Now, you see, the demon of offense teaches you that you have a right to be offended because somebody did such and such. You have a right to be upset because you missed opportunity A that was given to you. Or that you messed up on a understanding or perceiving something that's gone wrong, or around you that you should have been able to take advantage of. And once you grab hold of this and you start talking about how you've been wronged by this event, this blanket becomes so strong that you can't deal in anything with love. Only in patience, but you can't deal in love. The things of life, you can't work with them, you can't deal with them. And the light that we're supposed to be shining to the world can't be released from us because we put more than a bushel basket over it. Okay? We put an urn. We put our heart into an urn. And powerful witches will be able to create that urn for you because they know that you have the background for offense. The easier you are offended, and some things are very stupid that people get offended at. You know, between the husband and wife, there's little things that they should not be offended at one another. And they do get offended. And guess what? In comes that blanket. But often a rope of thorns appears first. And you get a rope of thorns by trying to seek agreement or by agreeing with somebody that's under offense. We should also note here that offense will block a manifestation of a blessing. As long as you think you have a right to be offended, you will refuse to be blessed by our Father in heaven. You refuse. You want vengeance, not a blessing. And then, because you were having, let's say, a hope for a new car, and it didn't arrive, see, it's God's fault. That person's always there. He's supporting them and not me. Look at that. They got a new car and I didn't. Or what was it? Joyce Myers would say, that miserable neighbor of mine got the fur coat I wanted. Okay?
Same color and everything.
You know, it's just that as soon as you start accepting offense, this blanket of twisting starts to form, and it gets bigger and heavier and bigger and heavier till it collapses you. And when it's there, it constantly blocks prosperity. If you want to be offended, you will constantly block prosperity. The third thing about offense is that it pushes a person into revenge, vendetta, vengeance, and lying. They have trouble telling the truth because it's all twisted inside them. They think they're speaking the truth, but it'll always be a lie. And this will open the door for a person becoming a gossip, because it's part of revenge, it's part of vendetta. Hatred will show. Why that useless so-and-so, look what they've got and look what they've done. Why are you talking to such a person? Well, because they're trapped in their sin, what about you being trapped in your sin? You know? Murder shows up, but here's the big thing that you can tell when offense is present. Excuse making. People that are not offended have no need to make excuses for anything. They don't draw back the history of what's happened 3,500 years ago and how it's affecting them today. So it's important to know. Excuse making will always come present at some point. Anger, rage. How fast you get angry? See, you can be offended at times, but if you never talk about it, except to God, you won't come up with the excuse making and you won't come up with anger, rage. They won't manifest as soon as the slightest little thing goes wrong. Another thing that shows up is mockery. And it may go along with complaining or telling others of another person's sin or weakness. But the aspect of mockery is a twisting of the truth. Okay. Then comes an item we've talked a bit on, we've got teachings, is malcontentment, that demon. And that's the name of the demon. Okay. Your attitude is malcontent. But malcontentment is you have made being offended your identity. You've thrown out the identity that Jesus gave you. And the last thing that shows up is violation. You're willing to violate others because you have been hurt or injured or some false hope didn't come to pass in your life. You have a right to violate others. I demand this, I demand that from you. You know? I remember that we had certain people here that in the house, and it didn't matter what time of the night or day, or everybody knew that when my bedroom door was shut, I was resting, going to bed, or whatever, not to disturb me. They'd just come barging in, and I want this, and I want something, you know, so-and-so did something or said something. You better deal with them. Well, I was being violated, but they were willing to violate everybody because they had a twisted blanket of offense on them. Okay. We've had people that have refused to come to services and honor the Sabbath day like they were supposed to because somebody might decide to talk about them. Might decide to talk about them. So they were going to be offended in advance, so they had control of the situation. Being offended doesn't give you control of anything. You lose control of everything. So it's a highly stupid format to run to, but it's very common in the last days. And it's one of the wear down items. Weapons of wear down. Without acknowledging the causes of the blanket and turning these causes over to Jesus, it is nearly impossible to set or be set free from them. Anybody know why?
You don't know what to look for.
No. You see, if you're willing to hold on to these things, you love them more than Yeshua, Jesus, who died for you to set you free. If you won't acknowledge them and turn them over, He can't set you free. Because you love being under that twisted blanket more than you love Him. Offense allows no mercy or compassion to flow to anyone perceived to be an offender. No mercy, no compassion. And it may be, you tried to phone somebody and their line was busy. Well, whoever they're talking about is an offender now, or talking to is an offender. And they need to get cursed out. They should be hung up to dry. Okay? See, it takes, once you get rid of the aspect of having mercy and compassion on anyone, you're saying, I have a right to be offended. And Jesus says you don't. Once this door is opened in a believer, it starts producing poverty, hardship, and sickness. So we pray that you turn this over to Jesus and be free.